Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Ford Focus. Now the Ford Focus, this fourth generation car, has been out since 2018, but in 2020 they gave it some enhancements. The most important of those enhancements is they introduced a mild hybrid electric vehicle engine basically to this car. It's a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged petrol engine that is available in 2 states of tune. So you get 125 brake horsepower, or you get this one which is 155 brake horsepower. It's 177 pounds-foot of torque. It's capable of 0 to 62 miles per hour in 9.2 seconds and top speed of 131 miles per hour. CO2 emissions is 121 grams per kilometer, and Ford claimed 53.3 miles per gallon fuel economy. On a longer run, I myself saw 47 miles per gallon, so you know what, I believe them. I think that's perfectly possible. Now these are available from £27,500, but this one with all the spec and the options on it, this is an ST line model. This is about £31,000. I'll go into the options once I'm inside the car. Now I was actually at the launch of the very first Ford Focus in the late 90s. I think it was in France, and whilst we were all universally as journalists impressed by how that car drove, and it was a decent looking car, it was certainly distinctive, but it was quite slab-sided and it was quite tall bodied in its styling. The latest evolution, I think, is the best of the Focus range yet. It's incredibly sleek. I love the contouring on the bonnet, on the sides, along the flanks there, and over the rear wheel arches. There's almost hardly any side at all now. Now it's kind of just like a thin, sleek fuselage, that's how it works, you know. But has that compromised the practicality? Well, when they came out with the 4th generation, they said 2 things. They said, well, we've stiffened up the platform. It's a new platform. We've stiffened it, so it's stiffer, it's lighter, and we've improved the interior space. So we're going to look at that. Of course, as usual, we're going to check out the boot, the rear, the front, and then, of course, we're going to take it for that all-important drive, especially to see what this new mild hybrid engine is like, a 1 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. Before we do any of that, make sure that you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy, following me on browncarguy.com, and of course all the social media channels, that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even TikTok. Just search for my hashtag, which is of course #browncarguy. And if you enjoy my content, you know what, you can sponsor on patreon.com/browncarguy. Cool, let's get into this. Okay, so let's check out the boot. Now, as I said, this is an ST line. I think that's why it gets the spoiler, which actually adds to its dramatic looks. I think it looks really, really good. I think well worth the extra, wouldn't you say? That's a really spacious boot for a car this size, but the Focus always has been quite a practical car, and I'd say a couple of suitcases easy, no problem at all. If you needed more space, 60/40 split folding rear seats, so quite easy to get more capacity in there. You've got a warning triangle here mounted above here. You've got hook and light on this side and a hook on that side as well. Underneath here you have got actually quite a bit of extra room, because you've got these sort of cavities and boxes and spaces, including a Ford first aid kit, which is a very useful thing to have, and I think pretty much all cars should have those now. This is something to do with the entertainment system, because it's got B&O Bang & Olufsen on there and over there, so amps, woofer, whatever. And underneath there you do actually have a space saver spare wheel, so also maybe you could put a few items around there if you needed to hide some stuff. So that's quite useful and practical, as you would imagine. What is the rear passenger space like? Let's find that out next. Before I get into the car, I just want to show you this here, this feature. Look at that. You see that? See that thing there? That comes out. That's to protect door dings and scratches on other people's cars. Brilliant feature. It's on the front and rear doors. They should have that on all cars. You know, I think, but one thing that happens is that, listen to this. It sounds a bit weird, doesn't it? If I just do that again. That's because you hear that thing going in, but your mind is thinking that there's something loose or broken on the door. It's not as solid as it should be. The door itself closes fairly solidly. It just makes that additional noise. So not to worry, that's what that is. But brilliant feature, all cars should have it. So here we are in the back of the Ford Focus. I am, of course, 6'2" with long legs. This driving seat is set for my driving position, so I'm effectively sitting behind myself. And as you can see, I've got plenty of room. I mean, the seat has been scooped out. They're really comfortable, almost sportier seats, I would say, but they've been scooped out at the back, so no problem with knees. In fact, no issue whatsoever. The shins are slightly closer, especially with this little ridge here, but it's not too bad, and there is wiggle room for my feet as well. So actually, fairly comfortable. I could travel reasonable distances like that, no problem at all. Headroom, plentiful. Elbow room, not an issue. You could maybe squeeze in 3 people in here. 2 people certainly would be comfortable. That would be fine. No center armrest. Down here you have got a 12-volt power supply, but no USB, so bring your own adapter. But otherwise, as long as you got an adapter, you're sorted. But yeah, I could do with some USBs. Nice way that they've done this. I like the graphic and the motif, and that's obviously textured, so you can actually feel that. Leather and cloth seats combination. Isofix child seat anchor points on the car. Netting back here. That's pretty much it. But you know, overall, and you know, the window line is fairly low, so no chances of too much claustrophobia if that's something that you suffer from. So really quite comfortable, just as you expect from a Focus. What's the front like? Let's find that out. Okay, here we are in the front of the Ford Focus. And you know, it feels immediately a very familiar place to be, just as you know you would expect, really, isn't it? Now let me start it up. The starter button is kind of hidden away here, so it's not here, it's not where you'd expect on this side, but it's actually sort of hidden away, slightly slanted inwards over here underneath the steering. So there you go, let's turn it on. That's how it all lights up, as you can see. The Ford logo comes up, the signs come up telling you seat belts, doors, all the rest of it. I'm going to press OK on these to get rid of those things. Once you see the Ford, now this is a larger screen that was introduced for 2020, so that's quite useful. And here you get the trip meter. Now you can obviously scroll through a number of things on this, and you can go and select. I'm not going to go into too much details because you know this is a car that's not unfamiliar to a lot of people, but it is interesting to notice the so as I said, it's showing 43.7 miles per gallon now, but I did get it up to 47 miles per gallon. But that is pretty good fuel economy. That's on half a tank, and you know I have done 227 miles, so that's not too bad at all. So just as you'd expect, electric windows, door locks, electric lights, sensitive. The wipers are rain sensitive. Now over here you have a heads-up display. Can you make that out? If you can just about make it out. And the interesting thing about that is when I got in, the display was a bit too high, so I found that there's a button here from where you see when I press that button, you press adjustment, then you press this button here on the steering wheel, and then you can then adjust it, position, and then you can position it how you want, and you can go up and down and all the rest of it. Now what I found odd is, why is that button there? Because I was looking for that and I thought it would be around here. Maybe this would be a good place to have it, somewhere around here where you would go, okay, that's related to that. Why is it over here on the passenger side? It's a bit weird. But that button, that is nitpicking, because that really is the only thing that's unintuitive about the whole of the car. The rest of the car is perfectly intuitive. So this is all straightforward. Again, I'm not going to go into too much detail. It's going to be familiar to most people that have Fords. Home screen, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of that works absolutely fine. Volume buttons here, so you've got physical buttons as well for the stereo and for the climate control. You've got the familiar Ford thing that they do with the graphic of the man. That's all there, that's all present and correct. Vents, nicely done. Nice bit of carbon effect trim here as well. So a little bit of styling touches, you know. That's soft touch there, that's a bit of carbon there. That's nice leather finish, or leather-like finish there. So, it's a nice place. It's the build quality is just as you'd expect it to be. Glove box, reasonable size there. Down here there's a wireless charger plus a USB plus another power supply point, so they're kind of making up for the lack of USBs in the back by having a wireless charger and a tray. Over here you have the mode, so if I click that you can get the normal mode, the eco mode, and the sports mode. We'll talk about that on the go. Traction off, auto stop start. Leave that on because that's quite efficient. That's park assist. Then you've got this thing here, this covers up. If you open it up, you've got a little box, and here you can actually have these adjustable things, so you can actually adjust it for the size of cup that you want to have in there as well. Little tray there, and then of course you've got cubby box here with a tray. Underneath the tray you have another USB, so again that compensates for lack of USBs in the back, because you can run a cable from there to the back, no problem at all. Again, Bang & Olufsen sound system, which is really good, quite bass heavy, so you just have to play with the adjustments and tune it up a little bit, but I do like bass, so for me that suits perfectly. But yeah, it's a good sound system. Ford actually do pretty good sound systems in their car, and this one is no exception. So just to look at the, like I said, this one's got a load of options on it, and here you go. So like I said, 27,500 pounds, but this one has got a magnetic, which is an exclusive color. That's 725 pounds. A heads-up display, this one here is 400 pounds. That's for that there. Then you've got the driver assistance pack. That's 525 pounds. That includes traffic sign recognition, auto high beam, adaptive cruise control, which they've got there, which I have used on the motorway and actually works really well. Full LED adaptive headlights, dynamic LED headlights, glare-free high beam, so that's where it automatically detects oncoming traffic. That's £1,000 option, good for safety, but hefty price. Convenience pack, reversing camera, which you do indeed have, and that's pretty good. It's quite a wide-angle camera. And then you've got the door edge protectors, so they come into the option pack, and they are well worth having, I would say. An active park assist, that's all £500. Then you've got the premium audio sound system from Bang & Olufsen, 10 speakers, 670 watts of amplified power. So that's what that stuff is in the boot. That's £400, that option. So the total on this car comes to £31,085. Now, you might balk at that, but at the same time, it's like all of those extras I look at, and I'm like, I gotta have all of that stuff. I really want it. 18-inch alloy wheels, matte black on this car. Unique ST line upper lower grille with the body kit from the ST line, like I said, and of course that rear body colored spoiler, as I mentioned. Sports tuned suspension, so we'll talk about that on the go, but that when you drive this car, you go, yeah, I can feel that, that's for sure. Alloy pedals, alloy finish pedals, I don't know if you make that out there. Soft knee pads, which is this bit here. So they're supposed to be a little bit of give in them. 6-way power adjustable seats, so they are adjustable seats. Heated steering wheel and seats at the front, so that's quite good. The Ford Connect system, auto dimming rearview mirror, that's a given. Dual zone climate control, 12.3-inch digital cluster, rain sensing wipers, as I mentioned, stop start, keyless entry, all the rest of it. Pre-collision assist, autonomous emergency braking, and post-collision assist, lane keeping assist, and all that, electronic stability cruise control, tire pressure monitoring system, all of that sort of stuff. So very well equipped, nice place to be. Nice place to sit, feels comfortable. Look at that flat bottom steering wheel as well, isn't that nice? And red stitching, always very important. That's probably part of the ST line thing, but that makes you feel cooler. Next thing to do, take it for a little drive and see what it's like on the go. So let's take this for a little bit of a drive. Now, the thing about three-cylinder engines is they do sound pretty good, and this one is no exception. It really has a nice little thrum, a nice little sort of roar, a little tiny roar about it. It's quite engaging, quite charismatic, that's for sure. Now I've got the car in normal mode. There is an eco mode. I did try the eco mode for a while on the motorway. I assume that probably helped me to get it up to, I say that, but actually when I saw the 47, I was in sports mode. So I don't know. I've been driving it around a lot in sports mode, as you can imagine. I'm going to put it straight into sports mode. And the reason being is because I don't know really if it makes a huge amount of difference to the steering that I've found. But what I have found is that certainly the throttle is more responsive, and the car just feels a bit more eager. And just sort of keener on the go. And you just want to hear that engine, and you just want to make use of that. The other thing I found is that around town, this is a really handy size. It's really compact. It's not a small car, but it's a reasonable size city hatchback. So it's ideal for this scenario here in northwest London. It's sort of ideal for this environment. It slots in and out gaps, in and out traffic, parking spaces, no issue whatsoever. Visibility all around is good. Ride is not bad at all. I've got it in sports mode actually. Let's put it back into normal mode. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it makes a huge amount of difference really. That's why, like a lot of cars, I put them into sports mode, and then I have to find out if there's a way of putting the suspension back into normal mode because it becomes too harsh. But in this one, I don't detect any difference, so really it's about the same, which is to say that it's a sports suspension, so it's to say that it is a firm setup, and so you can feel everything that's on the road. However, it's not jarring, it's not noisy, it's not uncomfortable. It's just that Yeah, you can feel everything that's in the tarmac, which, let's be honest, is no bad thing. But if you're looking for ultimate supreme ride comfort, then this is probably not that car. Or maybe just don't go for the sport suspension. But I would every time, definitely. The other thing I found about this car, driving it around town, is that, and this is a tricky one because I've just been raving about how good this car looks and how standout it is and how special it is, especially with the ST line body kit. But here in Northwest London, the level of respect that this car gets on the road, not great. Because, and I understand that, I get that, because, this is just a Focus. Most people say, oh, it's a Ford Focus. It's just a Ford Focus. They have no idea the enjoyment, the satisfaction that I'm having as a driver of this car and how special this thing actually is. For them, it's just a Ford Focus. So you know what? You don't get given way, you get cut up, you get pretty much ignored half the time, to be honest, especially by people in expensive German cars, shall we say. So that's a little bit of a downside. So that's one thing you got to consider. Again, I suppose if you spruced it up a little bit more, or you went for the full Focus ST or something like that, that would have a bit more of a presence. And people look at this and they just go, oh, it's just another Focus, So that's the only issue. But like I said, the thing about this car is it's not about, yes, it's good to look at and it's satisfying and sleek to look at, but it's not about pose value. It's not about showing off. This is not that sort of car. But the controls on this car are just so beautifully judged. I mean, the steering is just right. I mean, it's responsive enough even now. Like, there's not much play in it, but it's not too heavy, but it's still meaty enough that it gives you enough of sensation of steering. The gearbox is really sweet. The changes are spot on. Not too notchy. They are notchy, but not too notchy. But they're notchy enough to define exactly where the gears are and where it's going. You never miss a gear. There's an indicator as well, also both in the heads up and in the instrument panel, that tells you that you should change up or change down, that sort of thing. The clutch is very light. The biting point is spot on. It's very linear. It's perfect. The braking, again, this car is just really well set up. You can even heel and toe in it. I mean, the pedals are perfectly placed. Even in my boots, it's actually quite easy to heel and toe in this car. So that actually beats a lot of sports cars that fail to get that right, and this is just a hatchback. So in that sense, this is a surprisingly good car to drive. Like I said, in town, it's absolutely perfect. But what is it like out of town? Well, let's find out. Okay, so we are now somewhere where we can open this up a little bit. And the torque is amazing on this thing. For a 3-cylinder hybrid engine, it really pulls much harder than you would ever expect or anticipate. And it does that we are now in fourth gear, and it's incredible because it's still pulling. This is fifth gear. Okay, so fifth, yeah, it's still accelerating. It'll still pull. That's incredible. It's really very impressive for what it is. And the thing is that, it's really easy. That makes it really easy to drive. It makes it really kind of, this is, when you think 1 liter 3-cylinder and then hybrid, you're probably thinking, oh, it's a bit wheezy. It'll be a bit slow off the line and, oh, it'll take a while to get up to me. Nah, none of that is true, honestly. And the other thing is that 9.2 seconds, this feels a lot quicker. I don't know if it is I don't know if, Ford are just sandbagging us or whatever that is, but I mean, I haven't timed it, but just in the feeling, it feels a lot quicker than 9.2 seconds. I mean, that sounds absurd. Don't get me wrong. This is not a hot hatch. This is not the Focus ST or anything like that, but it is something that, what you want to hear is that you will not be disappointed driving this car. And, frankly, you won't be disappointed driving this car. And I think that's the big takeaway from it, that it's actually really enjoyable. Let's give it, so again, like we're uphill and I'm spinning the wheels on the revs, but it pulls right up to, it'll keep going 4,000, 5,000. It keeps going. It's really good. I build up speed ridiculously quickly. I mean, again, when I say ridiculously quickly, I'm not talking supercar, but when you think about what you're sitting in and the engine size, from that point of view, it's astonishing. I mean, it's really very good. I can't find any other way to put it. That's just how it is. It's very, very good. Remarkably so, makes a great case for small 3-cylinder hybrid engines. Look at this. Sounds good as well. And the ride actually really comes into, and again, the sports suspension really sort of comes into its own on a road like this, where it's firm, it's planted, it's settled, you know, there's a lot of confidence. It's great. I mean, this is a really enjoyable car. Here we are, we're checking it in. Again, here's where the ability to heel and throw is, I mean, it's nice. The response is good. The steering is a tad light. Again, it's not, bearing in mind that it's not meant to be a sports hatch. For my personal liking, it's a tad light. Brakes are spot on. Just the right amount of bite at just the right amount of time, just the right amount of effort that you need. But again, the throttle, you don't even have to, in a little small engine car, sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to have to really work that throttle, work the gearbox, but you don't have to work the gearbox. Where am I in third now? Incredibly tractable. Let's go down into seconds, completely unnecessary, but just to get some extra revs in. Oh my goodness. I mean, really, wow. I mean, it's really good. Dare I say this, but you get a car like this from Ford in the Focus range, and you think, honestly, you think I'm making this up, but honestly, from where I'm sitting, you'd be thinking, do I really need an ST? Do I really need an RS? Is that necessary? Because frankly, the amount of fun I'm having in this car, I think, you know what? Save the money and get this. Okay, if you get the full option thing, it ain't cheap, I gotta admit it, but maybe you can get one used, or maybe you don't have to have all the options. I like the options, but anyway, that's another case in point. Anyway, there you go. There's my verdict on the Focus. I'm just going to continue to drive this and enjoy it on these country roads. But let me know what you think of the car in the comments above below elsewhere, and hope to see you soon in the next video. Hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you're subscribing to youtube.com/browncarguy and hit the bell icon and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of my videos. Whilst you're at it, subscribe to browncarguy.com and follow me on social media by just searching for my hashtag. That's on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and even on TikTok. If you love my content, then please consider sponsoring and supporting it, and you can do that over at patreon.com/browncarguy. And you know what? You can use my platforms to promote your product, service, or brand. My YouTube channel is now closing in on 3,000 subscribers as I record this. Total views are nearly 500,000, and the reach just over the last month is nearly 1 million. So join these amazing people as my patrons, including Mohammed Humaid in the UAE, Partha in India, a tech guru and social media consultant. Find him on parthans.com. Tom Conway Gordon here in the UK, Isaac Beauchard in the US. He's got some great deals on cool cars at bespokeautos.com. Reza Adil, check him out at Alizadeh Cigars on Instagram. Mohammed Qasim, business consultant. You can find him at wehms.com. Siraj Abbasi at Tiles Italia on Instagram for luxury floor and wall tiling. Mark Waddell in Canada. Zach Kogiani, a globe-trotting pilot with amazing images for sale at zachkogiani.com. And last but not least, my school champ Shaheer Hakki. Thanks for watching. More cool vids on the way. Catch you again in the next one.